Well, good evening, everyone.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
I guess, of course, we're back to Thursday again this week. Which, when I texted you earlier, I kind of had an oh crap moment because, of course, we never really know until last minute if we're going to record on Wednesday night or Thursday night. And I realized, I've known this all week, but I was like, oh shit, Tennessee plays basketball tomorrow night at 8:40 p.m.
Tonight? So that'd be tonight?
No,
tomorrow night. Tomorrow night.
So on Thursday.
Yeah. So I would have, you'd have been really scratching if I had said, can't do it tonight.
Yeah, I'd have been like, because we record typically at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
When we do it at night. So I was like, damn, that would have been right in the middle of the game.
WNB, or women's college, right?
The women's team has had a pretty good season. They will play, I think their tournament actually usually starts after the men's, but I really don't even know.
Okay, yeah.
I know the women had a decent year, but
you don't watch the women's?
I mean, like if they make a run in their tournament and it's, they're getting like close to the Final Four, I will start paying very close attention.
Do you do the men's the same way?
No, I know when the men are playing, and I will be in front of the TV tomorrow night at 8:40 p.m. Central Time.
Where's the equality?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man.
What man? Did you?
But believe it or not, men can run faster and jump higher, and seem to be a little stronger.
This is news, man. This is news to me. This is really blowing my mind right now. No, I can't remember. I can't even remember who shared it. Did you see where the swimmers? It was collegiate swimmers. Man, I wish I could remember what school. Women, and they had on their, their little one piece is pretty skimpy.
Yeah.
It like comes down pretty narrow there. Like, I mean, I could never smuggle in what I got in there.
Pull the old Leah Thomas.
No, I'd have one on each side there. And
you'd be like Ray Finkel or whatever.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the lump in the back there. Yep.
Looked like the worst case of hemorrhoids.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I need to go back and watch that one. That's a classic.
That's a good movie.
For people that don't know, that's Ace Ventura. The best part to me is when they open he goes to the house where Ray's parents live.
Yeah.
And he knocks on the door. Hold on. I hate to even butcher it. I actually had this on my phone for a long time. I got to look and see if I still have it saved on here. But
when he visits with his mom and dad.
Yes, yeah, and then
she has all the cookies with the laces out and everything.
Yes, she hates Dan. Is it Dan Marino? She hates Dan Marino. Dang,
it was Dan's fault that Ray missed the field goal.
Yep. I have not. I guess I've deleted it, but I used to have the part on there where he knocks on the door, and the door they got the little slide open thing where they can look at you, and they go, yes, and he goes, I'm here to see Ray Finkel. And then all of a sudden a double barrel shotgun comes out and points at his face, and he goes, and a clean pair of shorts. That's like one of my favorite quotes in that movie.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
That's a good movie, yeah.
But the chicks are riding like on the crotch, not a dude, on their swimsuits.
That's
now.
Good that they're.
It is. That's bullshit.
Well, it's totally unfair. I mean, I have a daughter that plays sports. You have a daughter. Which in our part of we live in a really sane part of the country. I feel like that. Like,
yeah.
Like that crap don't fly around here.
Yeah.
But like we're going to a softball tournament this weekend. We'll be in Ripley, Mississippi. I've never been to Ripley, Mississippi. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it might be even more redneck than Tipton County, Tennessee. It's rural North Mississippi. If a team rolled up there to this all-girls softball tournament and had a boy on their team, like
it'd be dads fighting out there.
It would be uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
Like cell phones would be out recording because it would get very testy, no pun intended, very quickly. There would be it just wouldn't happen. Like nobody would even have the gall to try that.
Yeah.
Just like there won't be anybody kneeling for the national anthem at one of these events or anything. They don't even play the national anthem for the kiddie games. But,
really?
No, not at these tournaments.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like at the big tournaments, maybe like at the open ceremony, something like that. But yeah, like so. It's hard for me to like that stuff. Might as well be happening on another planet, as far as I'm concerned.
We are very. I mean, I hate to say, like I was going to say, we are very isolated from it, insulated, whatever. But at the same time, I don't know how common it really is. I think that part of it, it's like everything else. The loudest person is always the one that everybody sees and hears, and we're seeing the loud stuff. But I feel like the majority of it probably is happening in California. California is where that place always gets the shit.
It's on the coast. Because that dude is, I believe he's at UPenn, Ivy League school. But I almost feel like he's going to come out like in a few years and just be like, y'all were dumbasses. Like, I cannot believe y'all let me get away with that. Like,
did you see the recent crap about his Instagram? And then he's got like dual Instagrams. He's a weirdo. Well, I mean, obviously he's a weirdo, but
part of me feels like, it's almost like a jackass. Like this whole thing is just one big troll job. And I mean, you know how sometimes it is like, I don't know, you kind of do something as a joke. You think you'll never get away with it. And then like, you kind of get away with it and you're like, oh shit. Like, and you kind of, and they're like,
then you're in too deep.
Yeah. Maybe this wasn't as ridiculous of an idea as I thought it was. Or
I wonder if that's how the transgender thing started. Somebody that started it first had to have been joking, and then it took off, and then that guy found himself in a locker room full of naked women and was like, I got to keep this going.
Right. Maybe so. I don't know.
Maybe that guy was just smarter than we all thought he was.
Yeah.
He had the whole system figured out. Well, yeah, I don't know. I did think that was cool. The girls are going to have to start standing up for it, and people are going to have to stand up for it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it's going to make it literally. Well, like if it went this far, like your example with basketball, the WNBA, if all of a sudden they let transgender women or whatever, biological males start playing, the league would in a matter of just a season or two, it would be nothing but dudes pretending to be women that
couldn't cut it in the NBA.
Good enough to play in the NBA.
Yeah,
and as badass as some of those women are relative to their actual peers, they ain't near as good as dudes that aren't even at that professional level. It's just the way it is.
That Leah Thomas is a prime example. That dude was not good. I mean, he was like, what was he ranked, 4,000?
Yeah, I mean, relative to the general population of the planet, yeah, he was a good swimmer, but relative to competitors, right.
Yeah.
What's the whole crazy thing, the U.S. women's soccer team, which they are always come out as being like super woke.
Yeah, gosh, they suck.
They are like protesting even playing in states that don't allow that. So I think like Florida and Texas, obviously, and they're like wanting boys to be able to play girl sports, basically. And you're like, y'all are literally protesting for the end of women's sports. Like women's sports ends the moment that this becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just going to be, we've got men's professional sports, and then we got the minor league, which is men's, which is, we're going to pretend is women's, but it's just minor league.
The men's. Weird men's sports here.
Well, it's just the dudes that weren't quite good enough,
Yeah.
And I don't know. And it's like mind blowing. Like y'all, but it's the whole thing of, you give any of these movements long enough and they kind of consume themselves. It's like, all right, you're almost like this when you're like, whatever. Except that, again, I have a daughter that I enjoy watching her play sports, and I don't want it to become a situation where, she has nowhere to play, without having to play against boys.
I'm just ready to see a guy just take it to the troll level of maximum, where a dude is like, yeah, I'm a woman, but he shows up dressed like a dude, has a beard, doesn't act like a woman in any way, shape, or form.
How can they call him out?
Yeah, they can't say anything. He could be, everything about this dude, he's a dude. He's a biological dude. He acts like a dude, talks like a dude, looks like a dude, but he's like, yeah, I'm a woman. And then he's like, I'm going to play, and just beat the shit out of them. Clobber them and all this,
there's
whatever.
Been all kinds of spoofs about this stuff, over the years.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, now that really is where we are.
Yeah.
But
we live in a parody.
Anyway. Yeah.
Before we get off of this kind of interesting topic, you'll appreciate a podcast series that I just finished today.
Okay.
It was on Ruby Ridge.
Okay.
Man, that was some interesting stuff.
They interview like some of the people that were.
They actually had a lot of them that were involved. They had some of the police that were involved. They actually had footage of Randy Weaver, who was the guy that they were after.
He just recently died.
Did he die?
I'm 99% certain he died like a year or two ago.
Well, it was crazy.
Some of his, which I guess, of course, his son got killed.
Yeah, and he's got 3 daughters.
Okay.
They're all still living, I'm assuming.
He has 3 daughters. Does he have one by marriage after all that went down?
I don't know. I just know I said all 3 of his daughters got $1 million.
I thought when that happened, he had 3 kids. He had a son, another daughter that was a little older, and then they had a baby that was, famously in his wife's arms when the sniper shot her.
I don't know. That's what I thought. But
his son got killed, but then there was the other boy that was like their friend.
Kevin.
Yeah, it was like wasn't like their adopted son, but it was kind of like that,
Yeah, he got shot.
Yeah, he was shot.
Sammy got shot in the back.
Yeah, son got shot and killed. Wife got shot by a sniper.
Yeah, the sniper claims that he didn't see her.
Well, he made a hell of a good shot.
Well, and he was involved in Waco. That's what was wild, man. He was a sniper in Waco. And I didn't realize while the trial was going on of Ruby Ridge is when they killed all the people at Waco.
Yeah, because they were only like a year apart.
Yeah, so. And they had the prosecutor on the podcast. The original prosecutor, he ended up quitting before the case was done. And he was talking about how like what a just fiasco this case was because of the government's mishap so badly. And he said this sniper, I can't remember his name. He kind of had like a Japanese kind of name, like Long Yosho or something.
Yeah, I remember that. He was the FBI sniper.
Yes, the FBI hostage team or something.
Yeah.
And because they had a woman, they had Kevin that was in there. They had him on the show, and he talked about it. And his wife or something was like, it was not a hostage rescue team. It was an assassin team sent by the FBI. Like that's what she called it. And it was crazy, man, because Randy, now you get both sides, and they did a good job because you kind of get to make up your own mind with this podcast because they play the part. They have one of the U.S. Marshals that was after him.
Yeah.
And his best friend was the marshal that got killed. And, like, he gets emotional talking about his buddy getting killed. And so you're like, damn. And then immediately after they play the clip of Randy testifying in court about how he said the shooting started, and he said, I looked up and my son was running to me, and he said, I'm coming, Daddy. And he said, and then he got shot in the back. And he said, I watched the life leave my son's body. And it's like, oh man, like, so like it was brutal. But the prosecutor, the dude that was the prosecutor, he said that a piece of evidence showed up. Somebody like dropped it off in his office in a manila folder, and he opened it, and that sniper had testified like a couple of times that he never saw anybody in the doorway. He was just shooting into the doorway. And
everything you know about a sniper tells you that's not
and
true.
This guy was like and had like accolades of marksmanship, so like he was like a phenomenal sniper.
And that was the only shot he fired, right?
It might have been. No, what? I don't know. Actually, I'm thinking he took 2 shots because I think he's the one that shot Kevin.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Because both times he actually claimed that he never saw anybody. And they're like, how does a marksman of his level not see what he's shooting at? But he had denied seeing the woman. Well, some evidence showed up, and it was something the FBI had actually buried and was trying to keep hidden. And it was the drawing. Apparently, I guess this is part of the debriefing. The FBI actually had them draw. The sniper described what he saw as he took the shot, and in the drawing you see 2 women in the door, like, and one of them obviously would be the one. And the prosecutor, he said he actually cried. He said that when he saw that, he started crying because he was like, this case is lost. He was like, there is no case. And ultimately he ended up being not guilty. And they gave him $100,000. They gave us kids $1 million apiece.
Yeah.
But I mean, they killed his wife, and all of that started over. He sold 2 sawed-off shotguns
that they coerced him into doing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like, it was totally bogus. Like it was the fact that, man, and Waco was more of an ATF deal. That was more of an FBI deal, but like, they should have been burned to the ground after that. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
especially that freaking sniper, man. Like,
right.
especially because he lied in court.
But anyway, all right, yeah.
Let me tell the name so y'all can check it out.
Because I do want to listen to that.
It was.
Or heck, I'll just go ahead and download it.
Yeah, it's by Slate. Slate presents 1 year. Now it was been 2018, but it's Standoff episode 1, 2 shotguns. But you could search Slate presents, and then : 1 year. And you'll have to scroll through there. It's October 31st of 2018 is when it starts. But it was good. It was like 4 episodes long, and it was good. But all right, we had a lot of people write in. It's really awesome. We had a good week.
Yeah, we did. We several questions, a bunch of good ones.
Yeah, we will not get to all of them today, even without our anarchist intro that we had there. We will still not get it to all of them today, but we will continue until we get all of them. So I'll roll with this first one here. So this one, Hefner Farms. All right. First off, man, thank you. You commented on our YouTube channel. That's awesome. We love it when people comment on there or shoot us an email. So he writes in, he said, I actually had a topic I thought about today. Not sure if you guys have covered this or not. Sure you have. He said, I guess a question for Bobby Lee. But with the weather getting warmer, what kind of med slash vaccinations are you giving the cows, and how often do you get them? Do finishing steers get vaccinations less often than the breeding herd? I'm just starting out, and when I bought my calves, they got vaccinations from the auction over a year ago. I keep up with worm medicine, but what vaccines do I need to maintain?
So
the COVID one to start.
Right, you got to get that one like every 6 weeks or something now.
Yeah.
It is some. I saw some
every other day, I think.
Well, yeah, there was some recommendation the other day. I saw. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Like the recommendation they have there. But anyway, we do like to vaccinate like our cow herd annually. And of course, the risk assessment for them, based on what we're giving them. Like so he specifically said he had calves that he bought at sale barn and they've been vaccinated there. If that was their first vaccine, then after I've gotten them and had them for usually 2 or 3 weeks, I'm probably going to booster them again. Now, if you've had them for months or up to a year later, you're probably a good idea on the respiratory vaccine, which I imagine they're probably getting pretty close to being done at that point. Like all our steers, which when we bring them in through the sale barn, we don't know if they've ever had a vaccine. Some of them, and probably a lot of them have. We kind of take the assumption that they haven't. And so we vaccinate them and then booster them, a few weeks later. And then that's all we're worried about on them because most of them we're only keeping them like 8 or 9 months. The ones I then finish out, I end up having them right at a year from the time I buy them until they're ready to slaughter. But they don't get another vaccine during that finishing stage.
Yeah.
At that point, they're not commingled with any new animals. They're only around, the same ones. They've always been around. I guess, if I was bringing them in and
had some outside herd.
Yeah, and like I was bringing in a bunch of them, at that size to go to finish. Maybe, which of course the smart thing there is you isolate them, for a period of time, be sure nobody's, going to pop with any illness, before you allow them, to get nose to nose together. But the question as far as the changing season and it warming up, that doesn't affect our vaccine, choices. We're using the same vaccines no matter what. Now, obviously with the weather, which this time of year is pretty nice weather for cattle. It's not too hot, not too cold. Obviously once it starts to get really hot, we just have to, it's more about the timing of when we, want to do everything. We're doing everything early, first thing in the morning,
yeah,
sort of thing before it gets too hot. But Diseases we worry about, medications obviously changes with the seasons. Parasites, especially external parasites, are getting to be more of an issue. I guess one exception being lice, which kind of everybody has trouble with for the most. I shouldn't say everybody, but common problem during the winter time. Usually goes away by the time you get, here in just another few weeks. And rule of thumb with them is you treat them if they're bad enough, but it's kind of one of those things you're really not too worried about it. I went ahead and put a pour on all my cows.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned
a month or so ago,
because I got it on my 2 bottle calves. I mentioned that one was mangy looking.
It's easy to get rid of.
All right, because it'll be gone here before long anyway. But yeah, you can treat them easy. Well, the brown one, she's had some patchy hair, and I knew you had said possibly lice. And Marcy, I told her that, and she was like, "Well, our other calf, he's got all his hair. He's fine looking." Tonight, I went in there and I fed him, and I noticed he had a little bald spot on his side over there. I said, "Oh," so it was still enough light to see, and so I pulled his hair back. Man, you could see them jokers everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, because it was very like I felt very itchy after that, because like when I touched his hair, I could see little white like specks, but I was like, I don't know if that's dirt. So then when I pulled his hair back, you could see one wiggling, and I was like, oh man, it makes me like cringe a little bit. But
yeah,
my goats get them. Like I'm used to seeing them because that's what I do with them. I'd pull their hair back, and you could see little like they're almost browner in the goats, but see them in there. But yeah, they got them pretty bad.
Yeah, they're
what about the like ivermectin dewormer pour on? Does that do anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Double check the label, but I'm pretty sure any of that will get it.
Now, how much of a dose? Because they got to be 50? They're like 50 pounds a piece or something.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd have to check the label, but they're easy to get rid of. Lice is kind of that's where a lot of people like you get up to a threshold where you're really not even worried about them. If they're just rubbing and scratching a little here and there, as bad as that may sound to some people, yeah, it's not
the brown one is completely bald now.
Yeah. Open wounds all over.
Yes. Yeah. A little blood was like squirting out of one when I walked in there. All right. Well, no, I think that's good, man. Okay. Let me see here. Let me pull up another. Yeah. I had wrote that down to ask you about the lice. Hey, I will say something pretty cool. Did you see the thing about the Iowa farm that is like 150 acres? And
some kind of record sale?
No. Okay. This is actually good here. An Iowa farmer or landowner has 150 acres. It has like a 3-bedroom house on it, and they only rent it to young and beginning farmers.
Okay.
They do they take applications every so many years, and you have to be like a young or starting farmer, and they have a discounted rent rate, and they actually will even let you you can live in the house, I guess I don't know how they do. I don't know if it's 10 years or however long, but the whole purpose of it was started by this like trust to try to get young and beginning farmers opportunity to get into it.
That's fantastic.
I was like, that is like the coolest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know confirmed anybody's ever done it, but I've seen like some of the ag guys and stuff I follow on Twitter.
Yeah.
Say that, and these are like, and again, you can't ever tell like on social media, but, pretty big time operators and,
yeah,
whatnot. And, say that they wanted to, take on somebody under their wing and, let them rent 50 acres of their ground or whatever and kind of, let them get their feet wet, see if they can get going. And,
yeah.
It's kind of something I was like, man, that is awesome.
It is that I've said a lot of the change that we want to see is going to have to start kind of with the landowners. Especially, I mean, that's where a lot of us got to change, which one of the questions, if we get to it today, I've actually had kind of a new thought, and it came from a podcast listened to today. I'm not going to jump to it until we get to that question, and I'll mention this kind of my new thought. So the first question here, we had quite a few, or not the first, second question here. Now this one is on me. I had missed it. Now it's March 3rd, and it comes from Bryson. And Bryson, appreciate your email. Sorry, we're just now getting to you. He says, gents, hope the spring is going well. Bobby Lee, about time to cut your losses with that calf. I'm assuming the one that you ended up having to cut your losses with.
Well, he cut his losses for me. I mean, he died. Yeah, and we knew from the get-go. I mean, anytime one's doing that poorly that young. I don't know if I mentioned it on here. We felt pretty certain, and my dad pointed this out. It's kind of one of those things. We didn't need crops or anything, but we think he might have been hydrocephalic. He's like, man, he's really got a dome on him, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that would kind of explain his symptoms. I don't know why he seemed okay for the first 12 or so hours of life. I really don't know.
So what is that, like swelling on the brain or something?
Yeah, well, it's a defect where, and of course, you can have varying degrees of it. You know, some of them can end up being okay.
Yeah.
But I guess by definition, it's like water brain.
Yeah.
But the brain, oh man, I'm going to butcher this, but yeah, it's a birth defect involving the brain. You know, it's a physical problem. There's really, I mean, certainly in a cow, there's nothing you can do about it. They're either, you know, bad enough that they're, you know, it's mild enough that they get over it and then they adapt, or it's so bad that they end up like that one did.
Yeah.
And we couldn't confirm that, but that was like, well, you could necropsy him, but you'd had to like split the skull open. And I was like, he's dead. Like, it doesn't matter. Just, I mean,
you had already hit him with a ball peen hammer in the head, put him down.
Well, and you could say, well, you know, which that cow's had several calves, but then you say, well, there's a problem with the bull, which of course, if I had several calves like that, I'd be like, all right, I got to get rid of the bull.
Mm-hmm.
Which problem is I had multiple bulls that were, you know, with that cow herd. So you wouldn't necessarily know which one it was. So, but anyway, that was kind of a side note on him. Yeah, that was kind of a lost cause, but we had to try.
Yeah. Well, then he said, Logan, the saga on the track hoe has been entertaining, though probably not for you. It has not been particularly entertaining for me, nor my wallet, but I think we've turned the page. I did actually I got a phone call today. There's a local company around here that's like I guess a small business. A guy and his wife, I guess, kind of started this business, and they do heavy machinery repair, and they do it like with their own trucks and equipment and stuff. I mean, I say small. I mean, they've got several crane trucks apparently now, but they came highly recommended, and I got 3 cylinders leaking on the Volvo, but they've been slow leaking.
Yeah.
And so I called them a while back to schedule getting the cylinders worked on because they were so huge, I don't really have any way of messing with them. And the guys called me last week. They've been really behind because of weather, but they were like, can we get to the track hoe now, the Volvo? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, it's really muddy, but the situation has gotten worse. I said, because now one of the tracks is off. And they were like, well, we can get the track back on and we can change the cylinders. And I was like, well, that's great because I need it back on. So got a call this afternoon that they had gotten the track back on the Volvo.
Hell yeah.
And they were walking it up there. They're going to pull the cylinders tomorrow. So that track hoe is going to be back in business. And that's what, like, Marcy, I was telling her about, and she was like, well, how much is that going to cost? I'm like, I have no damn clue, but it's got to be done. Like I said, that's the thing with this. One of the things with farming and heavy equipment, it is costing you money when it's not running. Like, it's dead to you when it's not running. Like, and it's expensive. I've learned that, especially when you get into track hoes, bulldozers. I think those might be the most expensive pieces of machinery. Like, track hoe or tractors and whatnot, they're expensive, but like, if a hose blows on a tractor, you know, you can replace a hose a lot of times it might cost you $100, $150. Like, the hoses that I've had blow on the track hoe, they cost like $800. And I mean, so I honestly think, Dad and I were talking, they had a track worked on a bulldozer and had a cylinder fixed, and it cost $18,000. So,
holy hell.
Yeah, like,
well, this reminds me. I was watching a YouTube video last night, and the guy he was complaining. He was actually just working on a forklift, but it was Caterpillar.
Yeah,
and he said, I'm going to point in my farming career where he's like, parts from John Deere or like Case IH don't shock me. He's like, But damn, I can't even remember what it was. It seemed like he had a seal or something for the forklift.
Yeah.
And he's like, this was $300. And I mean, it was like, he's like, even after buying John Deere parts all the time, like Caterpillar still always shocks me when you get their name brand stuff.
Well, that makes sense.
You haven't even had Caterpillar problems.
No, but the Deere is apparently pretty bad. And the Volvo hasn't. Well, the Volvo it's had some work done on it over the years, and I mean, very rarely do I have any of those pieces of equipment worked on that doesn't cost me $1,000. And I mean, so yeah, I think a track hoe and all that stuff, I think that is the most expensive stuff to keep running. Now, when you're running, you're making a lot of headway, but dang, it's brutal. So yes, it has been not very entertaining for me, but I'm glad that everyone else has enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So he said, as for ideas to talk about, since you asked for it, Logan mentioned about getting into cotton earlier this year. What is the latest with that? Glad you asked. I will not be growing any cotton this year. He said, you mentioned large profit margins in cotton recently. Can you elaborate? I'm friends with an older gentleman who has a very large stocker operation and cotton peanut operation. He is brought up working for him and taking it over. I can figure some of the numbers on his stocker operations, but not on the cotton. So I'd be interested in what you have to say. It says, watching your last YouTube of Prime Agland, or his operation is outside of Prime Agland, so he does not have a lot of competition for land, but in general, it is sub-prime dirt. All right. Well, I will not be growing any cotton this year. One, the prices have kept falling off on it. The prices really dropped. Last time I looked, it was like 82 cents. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know jack shit about the cotton prices, like cotton markets. I know I heard some crazy profit margins, and that was from talking to buddies that are big into cotton. And I mean, they weren't fertilizing me. It was one in particular, a very trusted person in the cotton world for me. And I mean, he was talking, profits. I'm trying to remember the exact amount, but I want to say it was around $1,000 an acre almost.
Good Lord, yeah.
It was huge. It was huge profit margin. Now, I'm going to say they probably owned their picker. So I would have quite a bit more expenses in it than that person probably would. But, I wish I could elaborate. The reason why I'm not growing any cotton is, like I said, the prices came down and we're going harder into the produce side, and I just frankly won't have time. Cotton, it requires a lot. It requires a whole lot of spray, and it requires a lot of attention, and produce requires a lot of attention. And so I had to come down to which one do I care more about? And I am more interested in the produce. Cotton is neat to me. It would be cool to experiment, but I'm not as interested in it as I am in the produce side. So it kind of got the axe. I'm keeping the cotton planter that I bought just in case I get a wild hair later, like maybe in a couple years, and want to plant it. Trying to think, there was one other thing he said. I will say this, because you mentioned, now cotton does good on subprime dirt. I will say that, because you mentioned that the ground ain't that great. I was going to say I would look at numbers. If you're looking at the numbers, man, the beans are cheap to plant, and you can usually get a decent income off of beans. There are some good corn varieties that you could look at that'll grow really good on even not that great dirt. The grain prices are still high enough that, man, I would probably look more towards grain. But cotton does do good on poor ground. But you're just getting into, that's a very involved arena when you go the cotton route. So I would kind of tread with caution. But I really can't give you a whole lot of stuff because, I could say some stuff, but I've never grown it. So I'd be kind of just spouting shit out there. So I do appreciate you asking. All right. And then he's got a last thing for Bobby Lee. You mentioned running heifers this year. instead of steers. How is this going? Is the market still shaping up in a way that makes sense? Keep up the YouTube videos and the podcast. Bryson.
Yeah, we're still in the process of procuring our heifers. And I'm hoping I've got that finalized or much closer to being finalized in the next week. I have an update for y'all next week on that. But we'd really been hoping to find a group all off one farm. I think I found some.
Is it the one we talked about?
Did I talk about it here?
Not on here. I don't think you have. Just we talked about needed hauling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I talked to you about somebody that could possibly haul for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have to look at them because, I mean, I'm looking at spending, mid 5 figures, investment, $40,000, $50,000 on this group of heifers. I'm not going to buy them sight unseen.
Yeah.
But my schedule, and then the person that I'm buying them from schedule, getting them lined up because it's not like they're right up the road from us. They're about 200 miles away. But they're all in one bunch. If they are what they say they are, they're exactly what we want. And so I don't know. I'm thinking I may have a friend actually that lives in that area go look at them that I trust and that knows cattle, just because I don't know that I'm going to get up there. And I think we did find somebody that's got a truck that can haul all of them in one load.
Double decker, I guess. It's a double decker.
No, it'll. Which if the gentleman has ability for us to load a big truck, like he's got a load and shoot ramp, we might could go that route. But I actually found a ground load trailer. It's like 53 foot.
Dang, jeez.
Yeah, not many of those around.
Yeah.
But this is somebody who, this is what they do. And so I said, well, may get them to haul them for us. But yeah, I don't know. I know they'd like to go ahead and get rid of them because obviously, it's costing them money every day they have them. They're having to feed them. But yeah, I don't have an update there other than we're still working on that. We're still going that route as of today. Yeah, the market. My brother's getting ready to buy. He almost bought this week and just decided to hold off for a few logistical reasons. He's probably going to buy his steers and bulls next week. I kept telling him, I was like, man, the market, like you're going to pay a whole lot of money for them, kind of like we talked about hedging. So you got more risk out there, but if the market holds, like you're going to make money. You're going to buy high, you're going to sell high, which we're not trying to make money by playing the market so much as we're making money by adding pounds to those calves for making grazing. So it is just that much more important. But I think the heifers are going to be, every time you hear of a big sale, where they're selling, some of these special heifer sales, whatever, they're higher than they were, and so, especially heavy bred heifers, this coming fall or next winter, bringing $2,000 a head, depending on quality.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. And who knows between now and then things, and I'll probably have to look at some way, to kind of hedge. I'm not going to be so far extended on this bunch that, I'm going to have to sell the farm if the market crashes.
Yeah.
But that's the other nice thing with heifers is, if the market just gets terrible, for some stupid reason, I wouldn't have the hay to get them through the winter, not with my other cows too.
Yeah.
So I'd be having to buy hay, but I think I can calve them out and hold on to them and sell them this time next year as pairs, and hope that the market's gotten a little better, or hell, just keep them. I might just say, all right, just depending on what the market does. That's where heifers give you a little more flexibility, whereas a steer ain't got but one thing you can do with him, and that's eat him one day, and if you got a truckload of them, you're not gonna eat all of them. Whereas heifers, you can go ahead and sell them for feeders, and obviously we won't get them all bred. Whatever won't get bred, we'll sell, and we won't make really probably any money on those because hopefully it's just going to be a handful of those, and so it's not like we'll have a big group to sell at once. And then the ones that get bred, then we got the option of sell them as bred heifers, hold on to them, sell them as pairs, or something I really don't plan on doing, but just keep them for mama cows if the market's just terrible and I don't want to, lose my hat.
It is one of the nice things on the cattle side.
I don't know how I'll get my line of credit paid down, which I guess I don't have to. They'll keep letting me pay interest on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's my whole thing. Because I'll have to, all that money will be out of my line of credit to buy them. And then the idea being when I sell them this fall, I can.
Have you re-upped already?
On my line of credit?
Yeah.
I guess that's, is it like a revolving or whatever?
Yeah, but they like to redo updated financials. Have you done that yet?
I don't know if we have or not.
That's the part that makes me want to jump off a bridge. I told somebody today, I said, this right now, this is actually my least favorite time of farming. Because tax season is here.
That's my wife, which thankfully my wife works on a lot of that. Which last year I did a better job of record keeping. She's like, I need all your equipment purchases.
See, I am so shitty at record keeping. And I have to do the taxes.
Well, I forget about half the stuff I bought. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I bought a hay rake.
I have to go back and just pull up bank statements, and I just have to go through that.
Well, I just started taking my notepad just like this, and when I think about it, well, like today, I put down fertilizer. So as a big purchase item that I made a line of on my little notepad.
That's been what I said I was going to do this year was just.
I ought to put it in electronically in a computer or something, but I'm like, if I had to write it down on a notepad, that's pretty dang good.
Well, that's what I said, because I've got a nice laptop, but I'm like, if I just know myself well enough to know if at the end of the day I got to come in and log into my computer and put it into a spreadsheet and do all this stuff versus, all right, I got a notepad here and just write it down, I'm going to definitely be more inclined to doing the notepad. So
I bet there's an app for that.
I bet there is too. Yeah, this thing is always with me.
Smart link it to your whatever your spreadsheet where.
Oh, I'm sure. What is that? Quick eBooks or QuickBooks or something?
QuickBooks is one. Yeah.
Like those would. I mean, yeah. I could probably, and I need to do that because this year I got to do a better job. Because I mean, seriously, I want to jump off a bridge this time of year. Every time. It never fails. I haven't done it yet. And my finance guy texted me today and was like, need those financials, man. Need them. And I'm like, oh. Because if I do those, I just got to, I go ahead and do my taxes.
Yeah. I don't even remember having to do that last year as far as getting them anything updated. I know occasionally that, he'll text me or whatever and I'll say, okay, I'll get him something.
They always re-up mine. Like it is a revolving line, but there's something they do to re-up it.
I know I was checking it the other day. Like I opened my app and I was like, okay, there's all the money there in the line of credit.
Did you pay it down to $1?
I did.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, so we're good to go. Cause I've been like on those heifers. Like if things all come together and we get to look at them and say, or that guy calls me and is like, I need them gone now, I can say, all right, all I got to do is make a transfer to my checking account and write a check.
That's actually an interesting point here. We got several other questions. We'll see. We may get those in the next one, but this is actually a good point to jump into. So we got I've praised Farm Credit. I love dealing with them. I have a great time dealing with them. I actually made a pretty large purchase today. And I made it through my local bank. And this is actually, I don't know that I've ever talked about this much, but it's something that people ought to consider. And I also realize this is something that's not as common anymore. But my local banker that I deal with here, he actually farms a little bit. And he used to farm back in the day, and he's gotten back into it. Well, I can literally, he's the guy, when I started farming, I remember I went and looked at the first combine, and I called him. I left looking at this combine. The guy wanted $50,000. It was a 9760 John Deere. Me and Dad went and looked at it, cranked up, did good, reeked of mothballs. And so I was like, I'm going to try to get this combine. I remember we left, went down the road, and I called my banker. And I said, I just looked at a combine. It's $50,000. It's a 9760. I mean, and at the time, I'm 20, probably like 25. I don't know, didn't really have much credit, didn't have hard, I mean, had like Marcy and I probably had $2,000 in the bank, like it wasn't like I had anything. And I told him what it was, and he goes, all right, write him a check. And I was like, is that it? He was like, yeah, write him a check and we'll set you up and here's something that I actually would encourage people to check out. This is a pretty cool deal. And you may have done some deals like this. I don't know. But it's essentially a bridge loan every year. Have you ever done that?
No.
Well, I like this because it's very, farmers, we are in the risk a lot. I mean, we're risking it all year long. That's what we do. And so, I've always said you got to risk it for the biscuit. Now, if there's ways I can risk it yet mitigate a degree of risk, then you want to do that. And so one thing I like about this, basically they're 1-year loans and you got your interest rate, and at December you got to pay the minimum of the interest rate. And then obviously you want to pay more, because if you only ever pay interest, you will literally never pay for the equipment.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you'll never own it. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say you have a bad year. All you got to do is make the interest payment. And he set me that up on that combine, and it was nice because, man, like, again, I wasn't working a lot of ground, but it gave me the ability to get a combine and not be like sweating. Cause I remember at one of the lenders that I deal with, he saw it. He was like, man, you need to let us finance this combine. He said, I can get you it was like 5% interest. And he was like, I can get you 3.5%. And I said, but can you do a deal where if at the end of the year I have a bad year and I can't make the payment, I only got to pay interest? And he goes, well, no, I can't do that. He said, we'll have to set it up on like a 5-year term. And I said, then I don't want to do that. I said, I like this style. I might pay a little more in interest, but it gives me a level of security to kind of fall back on. And that's what we did today. I was trying to keep safety in mind on the farm today. Bought a drop deck lowboy. Because we were moving Traco and bulldozer yesterday and just about slid the Traco off the lowboy loading it. And
you moved your deer?
Yeah. Yeah, he got done where he was at with it, moved it to the next farm. And it's going to be a lot of moving.
So you got done on that farm?
Yeah, with the deer. Now, we moved the dozer over there, and I got to get over there with the tractor.
Okay.
But the Traco work is done for now, and it's at the next place. But the Traco will almost slide off of the lowboy. Dad has actually slid their Traco off of it before, loading it. And, man, it's scary. Like, I unloaded it, and like you're metal on metal. The tracks are metal and the trailer's metal, and it has some boards on it.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, and the Traco, like, you barely go one way and it'll like skirt like sideways, and the tracks also stick off the ends of the trailer, like the edges. So it's a lot wider. So it is just really sketchy. You're up high in the air. And I was talking to Dad, I said, one of us is going to end up getting killed. Like this thing, because if it flipped, like if it came off when you're up high, I mean, if you came out of there, you would be crushed by the machine.
There wouldn't be no need to call the ambulance.
No. So I was like, we need to get a freaking drop deck lowboy. And I got a lot of moving around to do. And so I called and I looked at some lowboys. I called my banker. I said, man, I'm going to look at this lowboy. And I told him the price, and he said, go ahead, write a check. And so I was like, what kind of deal you want to do? He said, we'll set it up, 1-year deal. You just boop. And I was like, that works for me. So
there you go.
They're pricey. It's brand new because you can't hardly find used ones. If you do, a lot of them are beat to shit because of just the nature of their work. But it's 47 feet long. The other one was 52 foot long. And I was like, I won't even be able to get that bastard around. So and I can move the Volvo because it's rated for like 110,000 pounds. So
there you go.
We did do that. But that gave me a segue to tell you, you need to build a relationship with with your bankers. Like my banker, I mean, I could probably, he would do like I'll have to put a down payment down on this thing, but, that's something to consider. Like I am a big believer in farm credit. Bobby Lee uses farm credit, but there's moments when maybe you need to explore some other opportunities or options as well. And I would see about those bridge loan things. Now, my banker still kind of does it old school. I don't know if many other guys do it that way, but it's something worth exploring.
Yeah, there's certainly applications where that would be nice. And two, just the ease, like you say, using a local hometown banker like that. I mean, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, they know you and so, which most people, I guess, in rural and farming areas,
There was no application.
Yeah.
Like it was a phone call and he's like, go ahead.
There you go. Yeah. Now that is nice to be able to do stuff like that.
And that's really, I would think like in a more rural community, I feel like you would have those. And that's where it would be worthwhile to kind of explore some of the not, Bank of America. Like don't go to Bank of America or whatever. Go to some of the, maybe your locals.
Silicon Valley Bank. They're solid.
Yeah. Yes.
Solid.
What is the bank was that the one that just went down?
That was the first one. There was two,
What was the other one?
I don't even remember the name of it.
Didn't they give all their people like huge raises or bonuses right before?
You don't know what to believe, but or like certain people were like selling off stock and it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast that was kind of breaking it down today. It's a podcast I typically listen to, but they did like a special one to break it down. But I was like not paying attention at all. It was so damn boring. And I was like, and I wanted to listen to it, but it was just like they were talking stuff that I didn't even understand. But apparently those two banks, they were the second and third biggest bank failures ever in this country.
Really?
And they never did mention what the first one was. I don't know, but the Silicon Valley was the second, and then whatever, I want to say it was like New York something. I don't know, but anyway, it was the second one, and they were describing how like the interest rates and all that, and like how that made it happen, and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, this is boring.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. That does not sound interesting to me at all.
Yeah.
Like I would, it's something I can agree. I would be like, I would like to know.
Well, I was listening to it. I was like, I want to finish this one before it was another podcast I wanted to listen to. And I was like, no, I got to finish this one first. And I was like, I'm not even listening to it. So what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. We will definitely we got several more questions, and guys, we haven't forgot about you, but they'll be in the upcoming episodes because we got something we have to discuss here.
We do.
Farmer wants a wife.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, episode 2, I guess is on right now, or probably just went off.
I know. I'll see what.
It was Wednesday nights.
Yeah, 10, 12.
Yes. I forgot all about. I knew there was something. I was like, there was something else
I wrote a note here. I was like, we can't forget it by that one.
So we hope the rest of you all had a chance to watch episode 1, and by the time this episode drops, you may be listening or have already seen episode 2. But
so what's your initial thoughts?
So I have never really watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but I understand the basic setup of that show. It's one dude or one woman, or hell these days, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
And then they have like 50 of the opposite sex to pick from.
Yeah.
Where it's 4 dudes and they each had like 8 women.
Yeah.
And they weren't like, one dude had his 8, one dude has his 8. Like there wasn't no like, I'll trade, or anything like that. And out of those 8, you have to narrow it down. And so I guess episode 1, they narrowed it down to 5.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. The first one of them picked
said
was like, no. So spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is going to go.
And it was the Tennessee guy.
Yeah, I think it was.
He was the worst one with the women.
Yeah, he was. Well, she even said, he's like, I'm just super awkward. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, like.
Which I don't like. I guess if you get asked to be on a show like that, I guess you have to say yes, but it's kind of like, it's kind of corny, and the odds of it really turning into a marriage, which they'll probably have to make it to fulfill obligations. But I nearly fell out of the couch because and they're all East Coast guys. So
Yeah.
it was weird, like, or Eastern U.S. Shouldn't say East Coast, but it was Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and no, I take it back. Oklahoma. One guy's
Yes,
from
that's
Oklahoma.
right. That's right. Yeah.
But still, like, Oklahoma was like, yeah, it felt like it was very eastern part of the country
Yeah.
predominant. And it's really not, because of course it's farmer wants a wife. They're all either cattle or horse guys. Like,
Yeah, I don't guess any of them do row crop at all,
it's,
do they?
it's not, I mean, I guess we're kind of splitting hairs here, but like farmer.
It should be
'cause
rancher
We're
wants a
making them
wife.
all wearing cowboy hats, but they are all either cattle or horse guys or a little bit of both. Yeah, of all the dudes, the dude from Georgia, I definitely thought I was like, yeah, he makes sense. He's from Georgia.
I'm trying to think, which one was he?
He was the goofy dude. I don't know.
The two other white guys were both kind of goofy, but one of them was pretty smooth with the women. But he would say corny things. He'd be like, "She's as country as a turnip green." Is that the one you're
That
talking
may
about?
have been the Georgia guy.
Now it showed him later, and he had they all had like a beard later. I can't remember.
He was clean shaven, I think. But I mean,
Well, they both were in the episode 1.
shit, people from Georgia.
Is he the
You
one
ever
that
spent
talked
much time in Georgia?
No, I've been to Atlanta one time.
Yeah, I have a very negative opinion of them for reasons relating to sporting events, and like when grown ass people bark at you, like, yeah, you know they got some screws loose, like, and they think that's normal. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't even like we're doing this to be like funny. Like,
It's just we're barking at you.
yeah, and so he
Was it like the guy that talks about the dogs when they come bounding over?
yeah, it's pretty much them, and they're like, yeah, they're yeah. We probably have some Georgia listeners, so
Doesn't say we don't need to offend our audience here. Y'all can comment your hatred for Bobby Lee's opinion below on the YouTube channel, or write in. Let us know how angry he makes you.
but yeah, when it said he was from Georgia, I was like, this is fitting. Like
Now I've got to know which one he is.
He seems like he's a few crayons short of a full pack.
I got to know which one that is.
But
now.
anyway, the guy from Tennessee, I nearly fell off the couch. He is from Santa Fe, Tennessee, which just about anybody watching the show, because it's spelled Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And I always make fun of my wife, which Santa Fe, it's like a dot on a map. I'm like, there's zero chance that she does not know this dude, which of course she doesn't know him, which again, he'd be, I mean, my wife and I are both 39. All these guys were like late 20s to early 30s.
Yeah.
But I was like, there is a 1,000% chance that like her family knows that dude's family, or
Got to.
if he's originally from there, like I mean, literally it'd be like saying you're from Gilt Edge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's like population is like 120, in Santa Fe, Tennessee. So as soon as I saw it, I was fully invested in the show from that point forward.
That's what you texted me, and you were like, "Here we go," and you had sent a picture of it. So that's what I told Marcia. I was like, "Oh yeah, so we got to watch this show."
I found myself oddly like
Entertained.
Yeah, and like, all right, I got to see where this goes.
Oh, dude, I do too. I'm gonna watch the next one.
Which, of course, the way they dramatize it, like the girls, which I guess there was one or two.
There was one girl from Nashville,
and there was one that was like real country sandwich talk, but like they're trying to,
wasn't that the same chick?
maybe it was.
I think the Nash, because she's the one. She had a rodeo belt.
Okay, maybe, but it's kind of like they're kind of trying to portray it as them being like fish out of water, like like this girl from New York City, is now gonna marry her a farmer, kind of thing. And
the dude, the dude from Georgia was the smoothest one.
Yeah, he was goofy.
But the two white guys aside from the guy from Tennessee were both goofy as hell. But they did better.
I seem to kind of like the guy from Oklahoma.
See, he was kind of dorky to me.
Yeah.
The black guy was smooth with the chicks.
Yeah, he was.
I did kind of chuckle. So when they were doing the one-on-one, I noticed the black girl, one of the black girls that was with him, I heard her talking about something to do with being in an industry that doesn't like recognize their race well. I think she was talking about like agriculture.
Yeah,
well, she did not advance to the next round.
Yeah, well, and obviously I noticed that, but
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because he's just a horse guy. Like he's a horse, and I don't know what kind of show horses they had.
And he's into every chick, every one of them. He's like, I want you.
He's a smooth operator. He's keeping all his options open.
Yeah, one girl was like, "What are you looking for?" And he's like, "You, looking for you."
No, he was probably, as far as just had the best game. Yeah, I'll give that to him. But we're only through one episode.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the way where they left it off, like each of them got to choose one that goes and spends 24 hours back on the ranch with them.
I did think it was shitty of that chick saying no. I was like, you agreed to do the show. Like, at least give the guy the chance.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I figured they do it just for nothing else. They just want FaceTime on TV.
Well, yeah.
I mean, this is going to help build their...
Now, see, she's saying no because she's hoping that they'll see that, the TV people of, like, The Bachelorette, and they'll be like, we got to find her man.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing. She's playing the long game.
Well, but see, isn't that the way The Bachelor or The Bachelorette a lot of times works out? It's like the girl who finishes runner-up gets to be the next Bachelorette or...
man, it may be. I don't know. I've never really watched them. Marcy used to watch The Bachelor or something. Bachelorette.
Obviously, that show was so popular. I don't know that I've ever sat down and watched it, but I mean...
It's terrible. I
know, like, they would give them a rose, you know, and then, I mean, pretty much they just keep cutting down to... They get down to the final 2 or 3, and then somebody wins and somebody
doesn't. It's a bloodbath when they get down to the last few. And, it's... Well, and that's one thing. They're going to speed this one up, cutting it down.
It's only like 4 episodes, isn't it?
It's got to be with that few of women. But it would be tough. That'd be hard. Which, you know, the Tennessee guy, man, he just got himself all in a mud hole to start with. The chick said no. So then he still had to... I
didn't even remember which one of them it was, but it was...
but it was a first chick. And then, he had to ask another because he's got to have 5.
Oh, yeah. So he had his 5, right.
And that one chick was like, he didn't even really want me. I'm just and so I'm like, damn, he's already like, he's...
But then she was the one he picked.
Yeah.
And see, I was already thinking that. I was like, okay, so shit, he's got to go to he had his 5, and now he's got to know who his 6th one was.
Yeah.
But if he's smart, he won't pick that one last.
Yeah.
Like, he'll kind of mix it up, kind of thing.
Yeah. But whoever he picked last would have still taken it that they was last.
Yeah. I don't know. That's, because it was almost like, are they going is this their top 5 starting at number 1?
Yeah.
Going all the way down, or are they going reverse order, or are they just doing it random? I don't know.
There you go, guys. Y'all would probably
we
never
spent way too much time.
Y'all would not have thought probably that me and Bobby Lee would get sucked into Farmer Wants a Wife. But I'm telling you, it was entertaining. I will be watching
corny
the next
as hell.
one.
Like, I'll watch this next.
I want to see what they make them do.
Well, it's like one guy's like, we're just so busy out on the farm. We ain't got no time to do no dating or anything. And like,
man, you too busy if that's the case.
Well, and I'm like, and again, I'm not going to hate on anybody's farming operation, but like none of them seemed like, the cattle guys were running 1,000 head.
Yeah.
It's like, you got a little time. Like, like I've got a wife, 2 kids, a business that has nothing to do with farm and a farm. And I still think like I have a little bit of free time, not much, but and obviously I'm not looking to date, but I just, relatively speaking, like, that of course that's all for the drama.
Oh yeah.
Show.
Like, it is.
Like the only way I was ever going to find a wife was being on this TV show.
I had asked Marcy if any of them ever lasted. One of the bachelors, like one of the recent bachelors, was a farmer, actually, in like Iowa. And then he actually got drunk and he killed a guy in a car crash or something. Like,
obviously after he was on the show.
Yeah, it was wild. I'm pretty sure he was drunk, and I don't remember what he was driving, but he ran over a person and killed him. And so his story took quite the turn after The Bachelor. But so hopefully none of these farmers run over and kill a guy on Farmer Wants a Wife. But if you want a real cheesy show that your wife could probably sit down and enjoy with you, Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of an ag kick to it.
Yeah, that's why it's funny to me. I'm like, let's just see where this goes. So I was a little insulted, though, that the Tennessee guy had a terrible game with the ladies, because I was like, all right, we got a Tennessee dude in here, and he just completely stunk it up with the women. And I was like, come on,
he
man.
recognized it, which, again, I don't like that. That's got to be awkward as hell.
Well, it's got to be awkward, yeah, but you got to just roll with it.
Like I think they were sitting out there on like a hay bale or like on the back of a side.
And there's like 12 cameras there. Guys are standing there.
I'm sure they had like 10 minutes with each one of them. All
yeah.
Right, we're gonna walk her out here. You sit down here and shoot the breeze with her and go on to the next one, and then you got to narrow it down from 5 or from 8 to 5.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been super awkward. All right. You got our stuff.
Oh man, the fearless leader. Talking about how our banking industry is just fine.
Doing great.
Yeah.
We'll just print. We have infinite money to print.
Well, apparently, I saw a funny meme about that. And basically that's what it was saying. Like,
off with 2 words: made in America.
So there you go. Old fearless leader. You got the company?
I got a pretty good one for us. It's actually a local company.
That's even better.
Rolling Thunder Calls. Have you ever used any of those?
So interesting.
Uh-oh.
No. They are a good company. They were partially owned by a company my wife used to work for.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She got terminated.
Was that
we have it. So a little bit of a negative
view on the.
Well, not directly on that company. It's probably a little. They were kind of part of a family of companies, and it was kind of weird the relationship they had. But yeah, that's a totally different story for a different day, and actually a subject I've kind of hinted at her maybe wanting to be a guest on here and talk about, like women in agriculture and some of the challenges that she faced. And I mean, look, we ain't super woke like women are being oppressed in America today, and she was not fired because she was a woman by any means.
She's owed reparations.
Right, but
millions.
But she faced challenges in that role, and not just in that role, and not just with that company.
Yeah,
being a woman in ag, I mean, it's just there's certain, and I mean, again, I'm very glad she is a woman. I'm very glad she was a very feminine woman. But yeah. Anyway, so yes, I am familiar with that company.
So have you ever used their calls?
So I don't guess I have. They're related with Buck Gardner.
Well, that's what I figured you were talking about.
Well, yeah, and Buck Gardner.
So did those 2 calls up there on that shelf make you simmer with anger when you walked through the door?
I've still got it. And again, they weren't directly, like she never worked for Buck Gardner. But I think Rolling Thunder is just like they're like
an affiliate or something?
Yeah, they're like the higher end version. I don't know what's the analogy I'm looking for. If Buck Gardner is the Busch Light, Rolling Thunder is the Bud Light, or whatever, know, to that.
Yeah. Well, I knew turkey season is approaching, and I bought some Rolling Thunder calls. They sound pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah.
And they're made in Somerville over there. But they do sound really good. If you're a Georgia fan and you hate Bobby Lee now, you can really, really get at him even worse by buying some Rolling Thunder calls. And then you can comment and let us know that you ordered an extra call just out of your anger for Bobby Lee's attacks on Georgia. And you can bark in the comment when you send it.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
But no, they are American made here in Tennessee. They do sound really good. I am no turkey expert, but they sound good. Like, I don't usually even get to do a whole lot of turkey hunting. I'm going to try to hit it this year, but I'm going to use some Rolling Thunder calls.
There you go.
So,
well, that sounds good. No, that they are a good company. But yeah, I guess we'll break down episode 2 of Farmer Needs a Wife. Farmer Wants a Wife.
Farmer Wants a Wife.
Not needs a wife, but wants a wife.
Yeah, he wants a wife. You'll get that coverage next week. And you need to watch so we're not dropping a bunch of spoilers for you. Comment below. Let us know if you watched it. Did you watch Farmer Wants a Wife? Write into us. Hey, here's the thing. When you are secure in your manhood, it opens the door for you to watch shows that maybe otherwise you wouldn't have. When I watch it, I don't feel any insecurity in my sexuality. What about you?
No, I was, not at all. I felt like, heck, it was, I guess it was appropriate for kids. It was me and my son watching it because my wife and daughter were out of town. So it was like,
what'd Willis think about it?
He was like, He was asking some questions, and I was like, it's on like Fox, it's on network TV.
He's like, how do you date so many women at one time?
He didn't break it down that deep, but yeah, it was like, what in the world?
Well, there you go, guys. If you watched on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit subscribe. Share these with your friends if you enjoy them. And for those of you that we got your questions in this episode, we appreciate you sending them in. For those of you that have questions, send them in, comment on YouTube, or go to our website, talkdirtpodcast.com, and you can submit your questions on there. Go straight to our email, and we will get them. For those of you we did not get to yet, it's coming. We will get to you. Guys, thank y'all, and we'll catch you next week.
Talk to you next week.